कुंज बिहारी।
जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी।
जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी।
जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरवरधारी।
यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन।
यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन।
यमुना तीरावनचारी।
जमुना तीरा वनचारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी।
जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय।
जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय।
जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा श्रील प्रभुपदा।
जय प्रभुपद जय प्रभुपद जय प्रभुपद श्रीला प्रभुपद।
नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल। हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल।
नित्य गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल।
जय जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तरदर्शी श्रीमद् चरणारविंद भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की
जय
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की
जय
गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल।
हरि हरि बोल।
All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
हरे
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I welcome you all on our daily morning reading of Srimad-Bhāgavatam on behalf of ISKCON Brisbane. And before I begin, I'm very thankful for this service. I have no qualification to speak, but just for my purification, I'm speaking, and I'm seeking blessings and permission from Srila Prabhupada, our entire Guru Parampara, and my Guru Maharaj, so I can speak something on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam that is pleasing to all of you Vaishnavas and Supreme Personality of Godhead Shri Krishna. And I also seek for your blessings. Please bless me so I don't say anything that offends anyone or I make any mistakes. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So we have been reading Canto 5, The Creative Impetus, and Chapter 1, which is titled The Activities of Maharaj Priyavrat. And most of you join our Bhagavatam classes daily, and you do know what is going on in our current chapter of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. But a lot of devotees mentioned to me that later on they go and hear our classes on YouTube. For them, and if someone new has joined today, I'll just give a quick context. So Parikshit Maharaj has asked a few questions in the verse 1 to 4 of this chapter, that if Priyavrat is so perfect in his Krishna consciousness, then how could he enter this household life as a grihastha, as a king, and how could he enjoy it? He is a Mukta Sangha. In Mukta Sangha, the eternally liberated people, they don't absorb themselves in family affairs like this. So this was Parikshit Maharaj's question. And then Shukdev Goswami replies that yes, these family affairs, these dealings with wife, actually in Priyavrat's case, 2 wives. We've read that he had 2 wives. So he's dealing with his wives and his sons and his daughter. So all of this, it seems like obstacles in bhakti, but that is the glory of bhakti. All of this and any obstacles cannot obstruct one's bhakti. So yes, Priyavrat accepted to become the king and accepted to rule the kingdom, but actually he has exemplified the spirit of sacrificing his own desire. He's sacrificed his own desire, because his desire was to remain a renunciatum, brahmachari, and focus on the lotus feet of the Lord. But on Lord Brahma's request, on his father Swayambhu Manu's request, he has taken charge of the father's kingdom. And once he did, then he did it with full conviction, without any grudges, or without any regrets, or without holding back. He gave his family, his immediate family, and his extended family, his praja, he gave all of them his 100%. And for the pleasure of his father and Lord Brahma, he accepted the kingdom. For the pleasure of his wife, he behaved like a handpicked husband. And for the benefit of his praja, he did something exceptional. So that is what we have been reading since verse 29, the exceptional things he did for the benefit of his whole kingdom. So our verse 30 said that he devised a very powerful chariot, which was as brilliant as effulgent as sun. And then he ensured that in his kingdom, the entire Bhumandal, that was his kingdom. So, the parts which were remaining dark due to sun god's rotation around Mount Sumeru, he devised this effulgent chariot, and he drove it around the Bhumandal on the opposite side of the rotation of sun. So that way he illuminated the whole planetary system. And in the hot months of the year, the chariot was providing a form, some kind of cooling light, and it's similar to the rays of moon. And in the winter months, he was providing the extra heat. And like this, he increased the comfort of all the inhabitants of his kingdom. Now, when I read this detail for the first time, that he got onto a chariot and he did the circumambulation of the around the Sumeru hill, then I had a question, that if, what happened to his throne when he was doing this great task, because he has created a chariot, but chariot needs a charioteer. And verse 31 does confirm that he drove this chariot. So we may think, well, does that mean that the throne remained vacant when he was doing this? So I came across the commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur on this verse, and he writes that actually Priyavrat expanded himself into two bodies by his yogic perfection. So one as a king and another driving the chariot. And like this, he was in the kingdom also, and at the same time, he was on the chariot circumambulating the Mount Sumeru also. He did both of these activities simultaneously. Now, someone will say, how is that possible? Well, because, this is not surprising, because even in third canto, we have read that Kardam Muni, he was also able to divide himself into nine. And so he divided himself into nine Kardam Munis. And and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam confirms that yogis can, expand up to 8 forms. And Krishna himself, he has confirmed this in 11th canto, where Krishna is explaining the mystic yoga to Uddhava. So in verse 11, 15, 22, Krishna says that Yada mana upadaya yad yad rupam vibhushati tat tad bhaven manorupam mad yoga balamashrayah. So Krishna says when a yogi, mystic yogi applies, he focuses on something, he applies his mind in a certain way. Yada mana upadaya, yad yad rupam bhubhushite. Whatever form he desires, he can assume. Tad bhave manorupa. So that whatever form he desires to assume, that very form he can immediately assume. And yes, Krishna says that yes, this is possible. How? Mad yoga balam ashrayah. That is possible. A yogi can do this because yogi is meditating on, yogi is taking the shelter of mad yoga balam, the inconceivable mystic potency by which Krishna assumes innumerable forms. Mad yoga balam ashrayah. So yogi is taking ashray of the yoga bal, the powers, mystic yoga powers that Krishna has. So that's how yogi can do this. So Krishna has that potency to expand in unlimited forms, and those who take shelter of this potency of Krishna, they can also have that potency in a limited way. Krishna has it in unlimited way, but they can have limited way, and they can also expand in up to 8 forms. And Bhagavatam describes that if this siddhi is called Kama Rupa Siddhi. So Krishna is Yogeshwar, the master of all mystics, and Priyavrat, having taken shelter of the lotus feet of this Yogeshwar, he has never left that shelter. So yes, Priyavrat can do this. He can be at 2 places at the same time. He can be at the kingdom, and he can also be on the chariot, illuminating the entire Bhumandal at the same time. And Priyavrat is showing us that a devotee can achieve great things, extraordinary things, because they are surrendered to the all-powerful, omnipotent, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. And not only was his chariot, Priyavrat's chariot, capable of illuminating the whole planetary system, but it also changed its structure. One of the verses has described, I think verse 33 has described that when he was circumambulating Bhumandal repeatedly, the wheels created the impressions that later became 7 great oceans, dividing the whole Bhumandal into 7 islands. And again, someone may question that how mythological is this? How can a chariot, create oceans and divide the Bhumandal in 7 islands? But if the chariot was so powerful that it could produce the heat and light which were giving competition to sun, it is not such a stretch of imagination to imagine that it could also rearrange the whole planetary system. by using which by using the gravity and some other forces that we don't even know yet, which we are unknown to modern science yet. So, in fact, modern science, in modern astronomy also, there is a similar concept that the whole solar system was initially just a big mass of gas and dust. So that means that the solar system was made up of combination of smaller particles, and later gradually because of the action of gravity, these particles rearranged, they regrouped, and they became the planets that we know now. So if that is possible, then why not what Priyavrat's chariot did? So we are reading about this great King Priyavrat, how perfectly he led his private life, his family life, and his public life, his king life. He was so powerful that he didn't even, when he was ruling his kingdom, his enemies, he didn't even have to fight any of his enemies. Just the verse 30 says that just his mere presence would make sure that the enemies of adharma, they would flee away in fear. So in his public life, he was also perfect, and his private life, we read that he loved his wife, and how beautifully Srila Prabhupada has explained, this part in the purports. And, that reminds us that behind every great man, there is a great woman. So, this was certainly case with Priyavrat. By behaving, his wife Bharishmati, by behaving in favorable ways to him, she assisted him and served him as a source of inspiration. And simultaneously, Priyavrat is showing so many examples how a devotee can do great things, how a devotee can have a perfect grihastha life, and how a devotee can be great in their professional life as a king. So that is what we have been reading. Now today we will read verse 34 and also verse 35, and we'll see what else is going on in King Priyavrat's life. I will share the verse on the screen. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये अष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतं भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्ठिकी। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Now this verse 5:34, it is written in Gadya like a sentence. It is not poetry that, most Bhagavatam verses, they are padya, they are written in poetry, they are chandabadda, they are written in a particular chand that can be sung, but not this one, as many verses in this chapter. So I will read this verse 34, but 35 we can try to recite. So verse 34 says, दुहीतरं चोर्जस्वतीं नामोशनसे प्रायच्छद्यस्यामासीद देवयानी नाम काव्यसुता. Now I will just go through the word to word on this one, but the next one we will do call and response. Duhitaram, the daughter, cha, also, Urjaswati, Nam, named, Ushanase, unto the great sage Ushana, Shukracharya, Prayachat, he gave, Yasyan, unto whom, Asita, there was, Devyani, Nam, named, Kavyasuta, the daughter of Shukracharya. Translation by Krishna Krupamurti, His Loving Divine Grace, S.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. King Priyavrat then gave his daughter Urjaswati in marriage to Shukracharya, who begot in her a daughter named Devyani. So there's no purport to this verse. Srila Prabhupada hasn't written any purport. So it's mainly there for narrative continuity. It is showing how Priyavrat's dynasty expands and how expertly, strategically, he makes the Acharya, Shukracharya, the guru of Asuras, his son-in-law. And later, Priyavrat's granddaughter, Devyani, the daughter of Shukracharya and Urjaswati, later, it's mentioned later in Bhagavatam that she marries Yayati, and then she becomes the mother of Yadu and Turvasu. And we know that in this Yadu dynasty, Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna and Balram appear. So, while Krishna is Swarat, he can appear in any family he wants, but we see how Priyavrat is so fortunate that somehow in the genealogical lineage, he is also related to Krishna through the maternal line. So this verse 34 is just there for narrative continuation. We'll go to verse 35. So this is also written in Gadya only, but we will try to recite this in our traditional Brahma Samhita later. So please repeat after me. Naivam vidah purushakara urukramasya
नेवं विदा पुरुषकार अनुक्रमस्य
पुंसां तदङ्घ्रिरजसाजितषड्गुणानाम्
पुंसां तदङ्घ्रिरजसा जितसद्गुणानाम्
चित्रं विदूरविगतः सकृदाददीत
चित्रं विदुरविगता सकृद् आददीत
यन्नामधेयमधुना स जहाति बन्धम्
जननामधेयम् अधुना सजहाति बन्धम्.
Let's go on to word. Na,
न
not,
not
evam vidah,
एवं विदः
like that.
like that
Purushakarah,
पुरुषकारः
personal influence.
personal influence
Urukramasya,
urukramasya
of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Pumsam,
Pumsam
of the devotees.
of the devotees.
Tad Angri,
Tat Angari
of his lotus feet.
of his lotus feet.
Rajasa,
Rajasa
by the dust.
by the dust.
Jita Shat Gunanam,
Jita Sat Gunana
who have conquered the influence of the 6 kinds of material waves.
who have conquered the influence of the 6 kinds of material whips.
Chitram,
Chitra,
wonderful.
wonderful.
Vidura Vigataha,
Vidura Vigataha,
the 5th grade person or the untouchable.
the 5th grade person or the untouchable.
Sakrut,
Sakrut,
only once. Adadita,
Adita,
if he utters.
if he utters.
Yat, whose. Namadheyam,
Namadheyam,
holy name.
holy name.
Aduna,
Aduna,
immediately.
immediately.
Saha,
Saha,
he. Jahati,
Jahati,
gives up. Bandham,
Bandham,
material bondage.
material bondage.
My apologies, devotees. I forgot to ask if anyone wanted to recite the verse. If anyone wants, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'll try.
हाँ,
Nevam vida purushakara urukramasya
नैवं विदः पुरुषकार उरुक्रमस्य
pumsam tadangri rajasajita sat gunanam
पुंसां तदङ्घ्रिरजसाजितषड्गुणानाम्
chitram vidura vigitaha sakrad adadita
चित्रं विदूरविगतः सादधीतः
yannamadhyam adhuna sajahati bandam
All right, we'll read the translation. My dear king,
My dear king,
a devotee who has taken shelter
The
a
devotee
devotee
who has
who has
taken
taken
shelter
shelter
of the dust from the lotus feet of the Lord
of the
of the
dust
dust from the
from the
lotus
lotus
feet
feet
of
of the Lord
can transcend the influence of the six material waves.
can
can
transcend
transcend the
the influence of the six material waves,
namely hunger, thirst, lamentation, illusion, old age, and death.
namely hunger,
hunger, thirst,
thirst, lamentation,
illusion,
illusion, old age, and death.
And he can conquer the mind and five senses.
And he
And he
can
can conquer
conquer the mind and five senses.
However,
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 this is not very wonderful for a pure devotee of the Lord.
this is
not
not
very,
very
very
wonderful
wonderful
for a pure
devotee
devotee of the
of the
Lord.
Lord.
Because even a person beyond the jurisdiction of the four castes
Because when a person
Even
is beyond the jurisdiction of the four castes,
in other words, an untouchable,
in other words,
and
an untouchable,
untouchable,
is immediately relieved of bondage to material existence.
is
is
immediately
immediately relieved of bondage to material
existence
If he utters the holy name of the Lord even once.
if he
utters
utters
the holy
the
name
holy name of the
even
Lord even
once.
once. Jai.
Purport by His Divinity Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Please hear. Shukdev Goswami was speaking to Maharaj Parikshit about the activities of King Priyavi. And since the king might have had doubts about these wonderful, uncommon activities, Shukdev Goswami reassured him. My dear king, he said, don't be doubtful about the wonderful activities of Priyavi. For a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything is possible because the Lord is also known as Urukrama. Urukrama is a name of Lord Vamandev, who performed the wonderful act of occupying the three worlds with three footsteps. Lord Vamandev requested 3 pieces of land from Maharaj Bali. And when Maharaj Bali agreed to grant them, the Lord immediately covered the entire world with 2 footsteps. And for his third step, he placed his foot upon Bali Maharaj's head. Sri Jaydev Goswami says, Chalayasi vikramane balimadbhutavamana padanakani rajanita jana pavana keshavadrita vamana rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare. All glories to Lord Keshav, who assumed the form of a dwarf. O Lord of the universe, who take away everything inauspicious for the devotees. O wonderful Vamandev, you tricked the great demon Bali Maharaj by your steps. The water that touched the nails of your lotus feet when you pierced through the covering of the universe purifies all living entities in the form of the river Ganges. Since the Supreme Lord is all powerful, he can do things that seem wonderful for a common man. Similarly, a devotee who has taken shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord can also do wonderful things unimaginable to a common man by the grace of the dust of those lotus feet. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore teaches us to take shelter of the Lord's lotus feet. Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitam ma vishame bhavam budhau krupaya tava pada pankajastita dhulit sadrisham vichintayam. O son of Nand Maharaj, I am your eternal servant, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms of your lotus feet. Lord Chaitanya teaches us to come in touch with the dust of the lotus feet, Lord's lotus feet. For then there will undoubtedly be all success. Because of material body, every living entity in material existence is always disturbed by Shadguna, 6 waves: hunger, thirst, lamentation, illusion, invalidity, and death. Furthermore, another Shadgun are the mind and 5 sense organs. Not to speak of a sanctified devotee, even a Chandal, an outcast who is untouchable, is immediately freed from material bondage if he utters the holy name of the Lord even once. Sometimes caste Brahmanas argue that unless one changes his body, he cannot be accepted as a Brahman. For since the present body is obtained as a result of past actions, one who has in the past acted as a Brahman takes birth in a Brahman family. Therefore, they contend that without such Brahminical body, one cannot be accepted as a Brahman. Herein it is said, however, that even Vidur Vigat, a Chandal, a 5th class untouchable, is freed if he utters the holy name even once. Being freed means that he immediately changes his body. Sanatana Goswami confirms, Yatha kanchanam yati kamsyam ratha vidhanatah tatha diksha vidhanena dvijatvam jayate nrunam. When a person, even though a Chandal, is initiated by a pure devotee into chanting the holy name of the Lord, his body changes as he follows the instructions of the spiritual master. Although one cannot see how his body has changed, we must accept, on the grounds of the authoritative statements of the Shastras, that he changes his body. This is to be understood without arguments. This verse clearly says, Sa jahati bandhamaha. He gives up his material bondage. The body is a symbolic representation of material bondage according to one's karma. Although sometimes we cannot see the gross body changing, chanting the holy name of the Supreme Lord immediately changes the subtle body. And because the subtle body changes, the living entity is immediately freed from material bondage. After all, changes of the gross body are conducted by the subtle body. After the destruction of the gross body, the subtle body takes the living entity from this present body to another. In the subtle body, the mind is predominant, and therefore, if one's mind is always absorbed in remembering the activities or the lotus feet of the Lord, he is to be understood to have already changed his present body and become purified. Therefore, it is irrefutable that a Chandal or even any fallen or low-born person can become a Brahman simply by the method of a bona fide initiation. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitan Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swakatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare
Hare.
Wow, so what a powerful message Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is giving us in middle of this description of these miracles King Priyavrat has performed. So this is Bhagavatam, it is all about Bhagavan's Nam, Rup, Gun, Leela, name, form, qualities and pastimes of Krishna. See, the previous verse, 34, it showed us how how society works, how the worldly status is arranged through dynasty, marriage, lineage, social structure, who marries whom, which family, what background, this is how society works. So identity by birth and by connections. But straight after in verse 35, Bhagavatam then flips the whole value system. It is telling us that birth doesn't matter. Even a Chandal can become liberated simply by uttering the holy name just once. So Bhagavatam is showing here that spiritual upliftment or elevation is not it's not locked behind our birth or our social category, but it is simply it is so simple to unlock it by bhakti. And then what very bold, very merciful, very practical, very clear purport Srila Prabhupada has given here. So it's a long purport, but mainly Prabhupada has emphasized on 3 points. The first is explaining why Shukdev Goswami has said this in middle of these descriptions of Priyavrat's actions, because his actions are so great. What he's doing for his praja as a king is so great, so unbelievable that Parikshit Maharaj, who is hearing all these descriptions, he might have a doubt that how can Priyavrat do all this. So answer is he can, because the person he has taken shelter of, Krishna, is supremely powerful. So that's one section of the purport. Then second point Prabhupada makes is that Priyavrat's Ashraya, Supreme Personality of Godhead, is Urukrama, the one of miraculous steps. So with 3 steps, he claimed the entire creation from Bali Maharaj with his lotus feet. So we should take shelter of these lotus feet, and that is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taught us also. And in the end, because the verse had mentioned about even Chandala being qualified for liberation, if he even utters the name of Supreme Lord once. So then Srila Prabhupada crushes that idea of the birth-based spiritual monopoly that caste brahmanas spread for their own benefit. So these are the main points in this purport I can see. So we will slowly unpack this. So first thing here is how Priyavrata do all this. And the answer is mercy. Mercy can do miracles. See, when we hear the pastimes of Lord Vamandev's appearance, as it is mentioned here in this purport also. When we hear about Vamandev's pastime, we may think that Lord Vamandev tricked Bali Maharaj and took everything from him. And in 6th canto, where this description comes, that before Vamandev appeared, there was a great war between the demigods and the demons. And the demons who were headed by Bali Maharaj, they won that war. The leader Bali Maharaj, he became extremely powerful. He was a devotee also. He was blessed and he was also protected by his guru Shukracharya. He was a Brahman. So then demigods who have lost in that war, they had to leave their Svargaloka, and because they couldn't, defeat Bali Maharaj by their ordinary strength, so they were advised to leave. And following that advice, the demigods leave the heavenly planets Svargaloka, and then they remain invisible, and for a long time they remain invisible, and then Bali enters Svargaloka and he conquers it also. So now, among the demigods, the principal demigods, Adityas, whose head is Indra, this Aditya's mother, Aditi, she did some austerity, she observed Payovrata. So for 12 days, she only consumed milk. She observed this Payovrata, and pleased by this, Supreme Lord appeared before her, and then Aditi offers prayers to the Lord. She glorifies the Lord, and also she says that those who worship you, they can get anything. If one worships you, they can get long lifespan or birth in any planetary system, wealth, knowledge, any mystic siddhis, anything they want. So what to speak of the petty things that I need, which is conquering the rivals, the demons, the rivals of my children, demigods. And then Supreme Lord also told her that, yes, I know your desire, that you want your son's welfare, because their opulence, their position, their reputation, it has all been taken away by Bali. And then, they have been driven out of their residence, Svargaloka. And now Bali has become unconquerable because he is also protected by Brahmana like Sukracharya, and I am Go Brahman Hitayacha. Brahman, Supreme Personality of Godhead tells Aditi that I know that you want it all back, and I know, that is why you have done this Payovrata, and your husband Kashyap Muni is also performing the austerities. And actually, Bhagavatam reveals that later in the 10th canto, Bhagavatam reveals that the Lord has become their son 3 times. In the first life, when they were Prishni and Sutapa, and this time when they are Aditi and Kashyap, and finally when they become Devaki and Vasudev. So Lord says to Aditi that I agree to become your son and protect your other sons and restore their position. So then, we know what Srila Prabhupada has described in the purport also, that Lord appeared as a dwarf Brahman in front of Bali and took away everything from him. Now, on first glance, what we would conclude when we read this pastime, we would think that Lord favored demigods and he punished Bali Maharaj, even though he was a devotee, even though he was a righteous king in his place. But actually, in this pastime, who received the most mercy? The answer is Bali Maharaj. Even though everything was taken away from him, he was the one who got the most mercy, because he was defeated by the Lord, and in front of the whole world, he was humiliated because everything is taken away from him. But it is Bali Maharaj who is glorified even today, as one of the 12 Mahajans. Bali Maharaj is considered in one of the 12 Mahajans. So the great personalities who are honored for their exceptional devotion to the Lord, Bali Maharaj is one of them. So by putting Bali Maharaj in that difficult situation, Lord Vamandev allowed the whole world to see how glorious Bali Maharaj is. See how glorious my devotee is, that he is happy to give his everything to me. So that is what Lord Vamandev wanted to show, how fully surrendered he is to me. So, Bali Maharaj represents the quality of Atma Nivedanam, as we know, the last thing Prahlad Maharaj mentions, full surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord. So he willingly gave up everything he had at the request of Lord, including himself, Now, see, Bali Maharaj, he was in the demon camp. When Lord first appeared before him, actually Bhagavatam describes that he didn't even know that this is Supreme Personality of Godhead. He just saw him as a Brahman as he appeared. But it was Shukracharya who warned him that this is Supreme Personality of Godhead. But despite of just thinking that this is a Brahmana, Bali gave him proper reception, that a Brahmana should be given. He washed his feet, and then he took that water on his head, thinking just that he is a ordinary Brahmana. So he gave this much respect to any Brahman, and Lord says that I am Go Brahman Hitayacha. He is very pleased when cows and Brahmanas are protected. And that water from the Lord's lotus feet that he sprinkled on his head. Actually, from today's text, if we want to, from today's text 35, we want to extract the crux. The word is in the second line, Tad Angri Rajasa, the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. Now, see the beauty, Vamandev in the first step, he covers the earth. In second step, he covers the heaven, the upper planetary systems. And when he, when he lifts his lotus foot to do that, to cover the planetary systems, he pierces the covering of the universe, which is with his toenail, and a few drops of water from the causal ocean, they enter the universe, and they touched the lotus feet of the Lord. So that's how that water became sanctified and became known as Vishnupadi Ganga. So the flow was so strong that Lord Shiva had to hold that water on his head to break the force. And much later, King Bhagirath, by his austerities, he caused that same celestial Ganga to descend on the Bhulok on earth, and that's how she appeared on earth, and she got glorified as Bhagirathi. Now that Ganga, even today, when we bathe in it, purifies us. That Ganga has touched Lord's lotus feet and via come to us, and still purifying us. But Bali Maharaj's good fortune, I just see, he washed Vamandev's feet and he took that water directly on his head. And then, as we know, the third step, since there was no place left, Bali offered his own head, and Lord places the third step there, and that is Bali's full surrender. So that is the glory of the lotus feet of the Lord. In 10th canto, when Rukmani pastime is described, she says that even great souls like Lord Brahma, they hanker to bathe in the dust from where Lord has walked, the dust of the lotus feet of Lord, because that dust destroys the ignorance. And in our today's text also, it says one who takes the shelter of those lotus feet, Purusha Kara Urukramasya Tadangri Rajasa Jita Shad Gunanam. A devotee who has taken shelter of the dust from the lotus feet of the Lord's influence is such that that devotee can transcend the influence of Jita Shad Gunanam. They can win over the Shad Gunas, the 6 material waves, Prabhupada translates. So, Kshuddha, hunger, Trushna, thirst, Shoka, lamentation, Moha, illusion, Jara, getting old, old age, and Mrityu, death. So these are the 6 Shadgunas. Prabhupada has listed them in the translation. So these 6 are the constant disturbances that come in waves in our life. They rise and fall, they come and go, but they never stop as long as we have the material body. Hunger. If we are hungry, even if we have planned to chant or read something, but as long as you don't satisfy that hunger, the mind keeps disturbing us. And if you still keep going, unintentionally become very irritable or impatient because you are hungry, we call it hangry. So hunger makes the spiritual focus very hard. Then thirst, thirst is even worse. If you are in middle of kirtan or you're giving class and you feel thirsty, the thirst becomes so dominant that you can't continue, you can't concentrate in your seva, and it becomes urgent. And only if you drink water, then you can go on. Lamentation, shoka, because we identify with the material body and the I and the mind, the body and its extensions such as family, possessions, reputation. We build our happiness in these things, in our false identity, and everything here in the material world is temporary. So loss is inevitable. So when the loss comes, when the changes come, then we struggle to accept it. When we lose someone very dear to us, or we have a failure, someone loses their job, or someone goes through a breakup or separation, the mind keeps replaying those negative experiences, and mind keeps disturbing us. It disturbs our sleep, our blood pressure, digestion, immunity. We see some people, when they get depression, that depression even surfaces as bodily diseases. I know one of my friends, she had gone into depression twice because both times when she lost her parents, she went through depression. And every now and then, she has a moving pain in the body, and the doctors, they can't figure out the reason. So one of the doctors told her that, sometimes the emotional pain, it comes out as bodily pain. So, and then there is illusion, bewilderment. So our, the most basic learning, the ABC of spiritual life that we learn in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that I'm not this body, I'm the spirit soul. But if we, even today, if we examine our actions, so many of our problems are there because we mix up the identity. We are so convinced that I'm this body, this family, this role at my work, or this reputation in society. We are so attached to all of that because we have taken shelter of all of that. And that is also temporary. So losing them, it also disturbs us. Old age, when we get old, we can't avoid the old age. And when it comes, the body does not cooperate. We want to do a lot of service, but we can't. Our joints hurt, energy drops, the vision becomes weak, memory becomes weak, hearing becomes weak, and we have to depend on other people. And it feels, we hesitate in doing that. It feels humiliating. Our pride gets crushed. And, we want to do a lot of things for the Lord, but at that time we are unable. Then the 6th wave is death. That is the final wave that takes away everything we have taken shelter of throughout the life, the body, the possessions, the relationships, the roles, the titles. So these 6 waves, they always attack us. The body has its demands, the mind has its dramas, and time is not in our control. It slowly takes away everything that we have, and then we are left helpless. So these 6 waves, they are like the restless tides that keep coming in the ocean of material existence, and they keep attacking our heart, striking our heart, and we try to swim with our own strength, and again we get pulled under. So we need a boat to cross over this ocean of material existence, and that boat is the Lord's lotus feet, and his name is the rope. And if we hold that rope, then even in the storm of these in these waves, these Shadgunas, if we are on that boat, then we are safe. That boat will carry us home. The boat of the lotus feet of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada, he used to jokingly give example of Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi and his wife Kasturba once had a fight. So then Mahatma Gandhi told his wife, you get out of here, you never show me your face again. So she leaves the home, but then she wanders around in the street, and in the morning she knocks on the door, and then Mahatma Gandhi opens the door and says, why are you still here? Didn't I tell you to go away? And then very helplessly she says, but I have nowhere else to go. Where can I go? So then he says, all right, come in. So Prabhupada jokingly said that we should hold on to the lotus feet of the Lord like that I have nowhere else to go. I'm not going anywhere. Like in Chaurastakam, Vibulamangal Thakur says, Nahi mochayami, I'm not going to leave you. And that is why, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram, O son of Nand Maharaj, I'm your eternal servant. Yet somehow or other, I've fallen into the ocean, this ocean of birth and death. So please, Kripaya Tava Pada Pankajasthita Dhuli Sadrusham Vichindaya. Please pick me up from this ocean and place me, Sthita Dhuli, place me as one of the atoms of the dust of your lotus feet. So if one takes a shelter of Lord's lotus feet, whether one is a devotee or one is an outcast who is untouchable as the social norms, a chandal, if he utters the holy name even once, even unintentionally, he can become free from material bondage of the Shadgunas and the disturbances of mind and the six senses, the six co-wives that always accompany us all the time. So that should be our goal, to be a speck of dust at the lotus feet of the Lord. And this is no wonder that Priyavat could do these wonderful feats. It's no wonder that Bali Maharaj gained eternal glories, as both of them, they have taken shelter of the Lord's lotus feet. The Lord is Urukrama. With the slight touch of his toenail, he causes Ganga to appear on earth, which is still flowing today as it is a proof, and it is still purifying us. So Lord can do wonderful things, and those who take shelter of Lord, they can also do wonderful things because of Lord's influence, because of their contact, their close connection with the Lord. And they can also become glorious. We see in this time, in India, I will just give example of Gandhiji. So, Gandhiji did unbelievably huge things. But who even remembers him now? Just 80 years later, who talks about him? The glory is gone. But Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruv Maharaj, Bali Maharaj, what they did happened millions of years ago, but still we are talking about them. Daily we are remembering them, because the glory that comes from taking shelter of the Lord's lotus feet never disappears. It always keeps on growing. We see what Prabhupada had done. Prabhupada achieved in just 11 years, what he achieved, countless spiritual leaders from India, they tried and tried, but they failed to do. None of them got the success Prabhupada got. The over 100 temples and the translations of massive scriptures like Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. And all other books he wrote, this was all humanly impossible, but he did, because of his unflinching faith in Lord's lotus feet and the shelter that he had taken of Lord's lotus feet. I know he changed the life of so many Westerners and made them Brahmanas. He allowed them to do deity worship. So as we know, there are Brahman, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, 4 castes, and then there is Pancham Varna is Chandal. So 5th class, as it is mentioned here. Here it is, they are called Vidura Vigataha, 5th class untouchable. So there are 12 kind of jatis, and the foreigners, the non-Vedic people, they are called Mlecha. those who they are outside of Vedic principles, they don't follow the Vedic principles. So when Srila Prabhupada gave Brahman initiations to Malichas, he was heavily criticized by the caste Brahmanas in India. They said that, to be a Brahman, as it is said in the purport, to be a Brahman, to work as a Brahman, you have to be born as a Brahman. Even though, Krishna has said, Chaturvanyam Maya Srishtam Gun Karma Vibhagashaha. The system of 4 varnas that is created by me, Krishna says, in that system, the 4 varnas are arranged according to guna karma, their qualities and their activities, their current activities. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has also said, Kiba Vipra Kibanyasi Shudra Kene Nayak Ye Krishna Tattva Vetta Sei Guru Hai, that whether one is Brahmana, Sannyasi, Shudra, doesn't matter. Whoever knows the Krishna Tattva, they can guide others. And all these things Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have said, Srila Prabhupada has implemented it literally, ignoring all the criticism. As Srila Prabhupada was clear about the real message of the scriptures. And here in the purport, Prabhupada has mentioned, he has quoted a very nice verse from Hari Bhakti Vilas. In that verse, Sanatana Goswami says, Yatha kanchanam yati kamsyam rasa vidhanatah tatha diksha vidhanena dvijatvam jayate indrinam. That, talking about kanchan, gold. So normally gold is an ore, it is found under the soil. And it is mixed with impurities, and then they melt the gold and remove the impurities and get pure gold. But here it is said, Sanatana Goswami is saying that gold can also be made by chemical manipulation. So if somehow if mercury comes in touch with bell metal, kamsyam, then it's very cheap metal. If mercury touches the kamsya, kamsya can become gold. So similarly, if one is born as a Pancham Varna Chandal involved in degraded, unclean professions, even Lacha, even if they get in contact with the authorized guru, they take initiation from him and then follow their instructions, then even that Chandal can become a Brahmana, just like Kamsya can become gold. Because Guru has that power, and that power is no secret. The Guru gives us name, holy name, which is not different than Krishna. Even in our case, we see that, when we chant for some years, our body looks the same, doesn't change. But when we meet someone after so many years, someone who we were very close with, and we spend some time with them, they say that you have changed. So our gross body, outer body is the same, but they feel that because our subtle body changes, and subtle body is made of MBA, Man, Buddhi, Ahankar, mind, intelligence, ego, right? So by chanting, it changes, the subtle body changes. Buddhi can change, right? Our mind, we say, I changed my mind. So mind is changeable. Buddhi can change. So when one reads Shastra, the Buddhi changes, one's discrimination, the way of looking at things, the way of looking at world, it changes. So person gets purified. Man, Buddhi, Ahankar. Our Buddhi, intelligence gets purified, mind gets purified. So subtle body gets purified by chanting the holy name of the Lord. And when one dies, the gross body gross body dies, but the subtle body remains. And because the subtle body is whatever however the subtle body is, that is the type of body the soul gets in the next life. So it is the subtle body that makes us, and bhakti manipulates that subtle body. Even while we remain in the current body, current gross body, bhakti changes, chanting of the holy name changes our subtle body. So one who is born in Chandal family can become a Brahmana. So holy name does have that power, and Shastras unanimously again and again declare that Krishna is not different than his name. Krishna's body is spiritual, and because so his body can manifest anywhere as a vigraha. And same way his name is also entirely spiritual, and the name can manifest as Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. and eternally conscious form of full rasa, full of rasa, the transcendental mellows. But the name is full of rasa, Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha, but our senses, our ears are material. So how can we receive, how can we perceive, how can we hold that spiritual mellow, because we have material senses. So our spiritual senses need to be awakened, and Krishna's name is so powerful. Nam Prabhu is even more merciful than Krishna. Nam Prabhu, Krishna's name, Sachidanand Swami writes in his book Nam Rahasya that Nam Prabhu wears the dress of a street sweeper and he sweeps our heart. We need to capture Nam Prabhu in our heart. And then, even though we are so poor, we don't even own the breaths, our own breaths, they are not ours. But if we have Nam Prabhu with us, if that is the real wealth, then we can become so rich that we can even purchase, we can capture the proprietor of the whole creation, just like we have been singing in Chaurashtakam. And Bilva Mangal Thakur gives us this higher aspiration of capturing Krishna in the heart. So, this verse we will conclude here. Prabhu, this is a strong reminder. Shukdev Goswami has put in between all these glories, all those wonderful things Priyavrat Maharaj is doing. Again, it will start what all he has done. But in between, he has slided this verse as a strong reminder that don't get stuck admiring these materially spectacular achievements, even if they are very extraordinary, even if they are beyond your grasping power, that is not the real wonder. The real wonder is the power that some two words, two syllables, Krishna have. That is the real wonder. And that is the real success of our life, becoming connected to Krishna through his name and shelter of his lotus feet, which transforms our heart and changes our identity beyond our karma and beyond our bondage of six waves. And this purport also, Prabhupada's purport also is very hopeful, is very hope-giving, that even the most fallen person has the access of the holy name, so yes, that is the our today's verse 35. I stop here. If anyone has any comments, corrections, realizations, we have many senior devotees also. If they want to share some realizations on chanting, how it changes our consciousness, please share.
Hare Krishna, Bhavamayi. Very nice class. Thank you very much for such a nice class covering this verse so nicely. I just remembered yesterday when we had Bhakti Vaibhava class and we were reading from third canto and 13th chapter, and it was 25 was the appearance of Lord Varaha. Now, when Lord Varaha appeared from the nose of Brahmaji, at that time it was so amazing, and everybody, even Brahma himself, didn't know from where the Lord came. And other demigods and all, they were also very, very astonished. And it's written, Srila Prabhupada writes in his purports that at that time the demigods and all started chanting the Vedic mantras and all that, the Vedic hymns. And Srila Prabhupada writes the most important is the Brahan Narada Purana verse, and he said, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We see that we are so fortunate that Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us this Hare Krishna mantra, and we sometimes don't know how powerful this mantra is. And I think devotees, and I can talk about myself, by chanting for so many years, even I'm not able to, clear up all the anarthas within me, but I can see myself at least some change in my behaviors and other things, like mostly like being more tolerant and humble. So this Hare Krishna mantra is very, very powerful. They say that, you can only taste that pudding if you eat it. If you put it in the jar and you look at it, it doesn't matter. So we can see, and we can always say people. I remember one incident. I was in Sydney and there was a devotee. He's an initiated devotee now. And like in his work and all that, he used to drink and eat meat and things like that. And the devotee started telling him, you should stop, your alcohol, and you should stop eating meat and all that. His wife was devotee and she was following everything. And then he came and I was talking to him and I said, look, don't worry about what you are doing at the moment. Just start chanting. And I never told him that, oh, you are drinking and you are eating meat and all that sort of thing. So I just started, and he did. And he still, remembers that. And he said that chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, automatically, I didn't feel like, eating meat or drinking and all that. So it's so powerful. So many people I have seen, and many devotees must have experienced that chanting the Mahamantra slowly purifies, and we don't have even to tell them, because it will take so many years to stop these things. But Hare Krishna Mahamantra can do, miracles. Thank you very much. Wonderful class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I was just repeating his words that I have read here and then. All right. Granthra Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Mahapuran ki jai, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Have a wonderful Krishna conscious day. Hare Krishna, dear devotees.
Her Grace Bhavamayi Devidasi ki jai.
Jai.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to assembled devotees.